Penguin Random House Audio presents The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate. Read for you by Sophie Amoss, Lisa Flanagan, Dominic Hoffman, Sullivan Jones, Robin Miles, and Bahni Turpin, with a note read by the author.
This is Lisa Wingate. To Gloria Close, for helping today's families find safe homes. To Andy and Diane, and to the dedicated keepers of the historic New Orleans collection, thank you for preserving the history. To the lost friends, wherever you might be, may your names never go unspoken, and your stories forever be told.
Prologue. A single ladybug lands feather-light on the teacher's finger, clings there, a living gemstone, a ruby with polka dots and legs. Before a slight breeze beckons the visitor away, an old children's rhyme sifts through the teacher's mind. Ladybug, ladybug, fly away home. Your house is on fire, and your children are gone. The words leave a murky shadow as the teacher touches a student's shoulder, feels the damp warmth beneath the girl's roughly woven calico dress. The hand-stitched neckline hangs askew over smooth amber-brown skin, the garment a little too large for the girl inside it. A single puffy scar protrudes from one loosely buttoned cuff. The teacher wonders briefly about its cause, resists allowing her mind to speculate. What would be the point? She thinks. We all have scars. She glances around the makeshift gathering place under the trees, the rough slabwood benches crowded with girls on the verge of womanhood, boys seeking to step into the world of men. Leaning over crooked tables littered with nib pens, blotters, and inkwells, they read their papers, mouthing the words, intent upon the important task ahead. All except this one girl. Fully prepared? The teacher inquires, her head angling toward the girl's work. You've practiced reading it aloud? I can't do it, the girl sags, defeated in her own mind. Not with these people looking on. Her young face casts miserably toward the onlookers who have gathered at the fringes of the open-air classroom. Moneyed men in well-fitting suits and women in expensive dresses, petulantly waving off the afternoon heat with printed handbills and paper fans, left over from the morning's fiery political speeches. You never know what you can do until you try, the teacher advises. Oh, how familiar that girlish insecurity is. Not so many years ago the teacher was this girl, uncertain of herself, overcome with fear. Paralyzed, really. I can't, the girl moans, clutching her stomach. Bundling cumbersome skirts and petticoats to keep them from the dust, the teacher lowers herself to catch the girl's gaze. Where will they hear the story if not from you? The story of being stolen away from family, of writing an advertisement seeking any word of loved ones, and hoping to save up the 50 cents to have it printed in the Southwestern paper, so that it might travel through all the nearby states and territories. How will they understand the desperate need to finally know, are my people out there, somewhere? The girl's thin shoulders lift, then wilt. These folks ain't here because they care what I've got to say. It won't change anything. Perhaps it will. The most important endeavors require a risk. The teacher understands this all too well. Someday she too must strike off on a similar journey, one that involves a risk. Today, however, is for her students and for the Lost Friends column of the Southwestern Christian Advocate newspaper, and for all it represents. At the very least, we must tell our stories, mustn't we? Speak the names? You know, there is an old proverb that says, "We die once when the last breath leaves our bodies. We die a second time when the last person speaks our name. The first death is beyond our control, but the second one we can strive to prevent." "If you say so," the girl acquiesces, tenuously drawing a breath. "But I best do it right off so I don't lose my nerve. Can I go on and give my reading before the rest?" The teacher nods. "If you start, I'm certain the others will know to follow." Stepping back, she surveys the remainder of her group. All the stories here, she thinks. People separated by impossible distance, by human fallacy, by cruelty, enduring the terrible torture of not knowing. And though she'd rather not, she'd give anything if not. She imagines her own scar, one hidden beneath the skin where no one else can see it. She thinks of her own lost love out there, somewhere. Who knows where? A murmur of thinly veiled impatience stirs among the audience as the girl rises and proceeds along the aisle between the benches, her posture stiffening to a strangely regal bearing. The frenzied motion of paper fans ceases and fluttering handbills go silent when she turns to speak her piece, looking neither left nor right. Her voice falters. Rimming the crowd with her gaze, she clenches and unclenches her fingers, clutching thick folds of the blue and white calico dress. Time seems to hover then, like the ladybug deciding whether it will land or fly on. Finally, the girl's chin rises with stalwart determination. Her voice carries past the students to the audience, demanding attention as she speaks a name that will not be silenced on this day. I am Hanny Gossett.
Lost Friends.
We make no charge for publishing these letters from subscribers. All others will be charged 50 cents. Pastors will please read the requests published below from their pulpits and report any case where friends are brought together by means of letters in the Southwestern.
Dear Editor, I wish to inquire from my people. My mother was named Mitty. I am the middle of 9 children and named Hanny Gossett. The others were named Hardy, Het, Pratt, Efim, Addie, Easter, Ike, and Rose, and were all my mother had when separated. My grandmother was Caroline, and my grandfather Pap Ollie. My aunt was Jenny, who was married to Uncle Clem until he died in the war. Aunt Jenny's children were 4 girls, Azelle, Louisa, Martha, and Mary. Our first owner was William Gossett of Goswood Grove Plantation, where we were raised and kept until our Mars was in plans to take us from Louisiana to Texas during the war, to refugee in Texas and form a new plantation there. During plans, we encountered the difficulty of being stolen in a group from the Gossetts by Jephthah Loach, a nephew of Mrs. Gossett. He carried us from the old river road south of Baton Rouge, northward and westward, across Louisiana toward Texas. My brothers and sisters, cousins, and aunt were sold and carried from us in Big Creek, Jat, Winfield, Saline, Kimball's, Greenwood, Bethany, and finally Powelltown, Texas, where my mother was taken and never seen by me again. I am now grown, being the only one of us who was rejected by my purchaser in Marshall, Texas, and returned to the Gossetts after the facts of my true ownership became clear. I am well, but my mother is greatly missed by me, and any information of her or any of my people is dearly desired.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?